If you dream about traveling or really taking any big chances in life, this sunset and the story behind it are for you. Let's start at this sunset scene overlooking the Mississippi River and downtown Memphis, Tennessee. I lived in Memphis twice, and I pledged to never cross this bridge again. Memphis and I never got along. After attending a long list of other colleges, I finally graduated here at Rhodes College with a degree in business, not journalism. I then tricked a TV station into hiring me, but that's another story. Rhodes is basically a resort. No, this is not a medieval hunting lodge, it's the campus sitting area near the gym. I stopped by mostly to see how all of my money was doing. Somehow, in my time here, I never went down the street to St. Jude's Hospital, largely in an effort to avoid the sorority girls who all volunteered there. Some of you may know the story behind St. Jude's, but if you don't, and I didn't until now, it will leave you wanting to triple the size of your dreams and, more importantly, stop waiting for tomorrow to build them. I have something of an in. His name is Mike Hamlet, and we work together at Channel 5 in Memphis. He started my TV career and taught me most everything that I know about video. Today, he's one of the masterminds behind St. Jude's video production team. Those flawless celebrity commercials you see? Yeah, that's this guy's handiwork. He pretty much decorates his Christmas trees with Emmy Awards. He gave me the grand tour behind the scenes of their studios, where most everyone is a former news person, and you know because their left eye still twitches from years of chasing accidents and murders. I knew that St. Jude's treated children's cancer at zero cost to the family, but you can't experience the gravity of that until you actually walk the halls. If you think you have problems, make eye contact with a little boy or girl, bald from the chemicals, hooked up to tubes being pulled down the hospital halls in a little red wagon. That will put your problems in perspective. Unlike adults, when facing the unknown or, in some cases, their mortality, kids never lose their sense of humor. Like this little guy whose description of an ultrasound earned him some wall space and eternal glory for including how hot the department's nurses are. If the hospital walls aren't covered in art, they're lined with donor names. St. Jude's Cancer Care is free to the patients because of these people. The hospital's founder believed it better to get $1 from 1 million people than $1 million from one person, and over the decades that has proven true. His name was Danny Thomas. Danny was a struggling actor who could not find his path. Lord, can we all relate? Being Catholic, he took solace one day inside a church and started praying to St. Jude, the saint for lost causes. He asked St. Jude a question we've all asked: what is my purpose here? And he promised in exchange for guidance, he would build a shrine in St. Jude's name. Soon, a talent gig came in, then another, and another. It was time to make good on his heavenly debt. But how do you repay the patron saint of the impossible? You strive for the impossible. Danny didn't live in the South, but for years he had kept a newspaper article in his wallet about a little boy in Mississippi who'd been hit by a car on his bike and was turned away by every emergency room because he was black. This was the late 50s, early 60s. That little boy died. Danny, now an established actor, decided he would build a hospital and he would put it in Memphis, Tennessee. He had zero medical training or healthcare experience, but he did know how to sketch out his vision for the building on a napkin, and he took that idea around to architects. The hospital would be called St. Jude's, and not only would it treat children's cancer, but it would treat the most difficult cases, and it would do it for free. Can you imagine pitching this idea to friends and family? I'm an actor, and on the side, I'm going to fight cancer. How often have you skimmed down a goal because it sounded extreme or impossible? What if Danny had been afraid of what other people thought? How many children wouldn't be here? Frankly, the world loses out every time you minimize your vision. In a single lifetime, Danny went from an unemployed actor to the founder of a global force in healthcare. When he died, he was buried close to the hospital's doors, and newspapers around the country printed a series of "Make Room for Danny" cartoons showing Danny taking the express lane into heaven. Ultimately, we all get a 2-inch dash to write our life on. The line on your tombstone separating your date of birth from your date of death. What goes in between, on that line, is up to you. All of your dreams are on a deadline. If Danny can build St. Jude's, what's your excuse? I can promise you every single one of these children would love to have all the tomorrows, laters, and somedays that you've been banking up. If you knew that you had a terminal condition, I bet you would finally take that trip. Start that idea, or just bite the damn bullet on whatever else you've been talking about for years and not doing. Here's the good news. You do have a terminal condition. It is called life. It ends. Hurry up. Which leads me back to that sunset. I took these photos at Fort Smith, Arkansas, another place I didn't want to go to. Standing at the banks of the river, I instantly regretted not bringing my camera bag and commented to the trio standing next to me, and I was jealous that they had theirs. One of the women was clearly very frail and very sick. She told me this was her last road trip, and with a look in her eye, I knew that she was very aware of her own deadline. We stood there looking at the same sunset, but I knew I could never appreciate it as much as she was in that very moment because she was fully conscious of the value of time. I'm grateful to each and every one of you for watching this wild adventure that I've been on. This is my dream. I do hope, whatever yours is, especially if it's to travel, that you will stop tossing wishes into the bottom of a bucket list and banking on later. At the end of every feat, the tired victor joyfully throws his hands up in glory as they cross the finish line. Remember those children's faces. Remember Danny. Remember this woman at the banks of the river. But most of all, remember your own 2-inch line. How will you cross when you reach its end?